Welcome back to Solvent Healthcare with Dr. K. Today, we have a very special episode. We have Angele, who is, I want to say a friend. We've known each other for a long time, interacted in the hospital, and I was pleasantly surprised when I came across my LinkedIn and I see Angele on stage lighting up the stage talking about gratitude, and it was such an important message that hit home, and I felt like it's something that we all need to hear more about. And so I would be remiss not to bring Angele to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's an honor to be here, and I'm grateful on all fronts to be here and to talk about this amazing, beautiful topic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So take us back. So you are a speech language pathologist, and you have had, unfortunately, through experience, some tribulations that in your life with your son that has really pointed you towards that need to lean towards gratitude. So maybe take us back to what happened.
Okay, so I'll start in healthcare. Yes, I'm a medical speech pathologist, work in healthcare, have been for 23 years, and have witnessed over the years, and you'll attest to this, how certain patients do so much better with the same treatment, same everything, minus the mindset and how they choose to see their illness. So whether it's a new chance at life, rekindling their relationships, taking their health under control, whatever that is for them, I've always been really inspired by all those patients that do that. And so coming from the other side, from a mom having a child in hospital for 3.5 years, it really put things in perspective for me, how gratitude really, in hindsight, in the moment, it was helping me cope. I have healthy coping strategies, but that was really helping me focus on very, very challenging moments that I couldn't control. They were out of my control. So I thought, what can I control? I can make someone's day better. I can be grateful for healthcare, for the amazing nurses. Sometimes it was for hot tea that they would boil. Amazing to have that time. And so really recognizing that it really changes and can support you and can really carry you through very, very difficult moments.
Yeah, the power of gratitude. So give us a sense of what you were going through. Like you mentioned you and your son were hospitalized for an extended period of time. What was happening?
So he was extremely ill, spent some time intubated in ICU, and so without getting into details, that's complex. And coming at it from a mother, I thought I was prepared. I've seen it all. And this has it had no value for that heartfelt pain that you can't take away from your child. You can't take that pain away. I wanted to take it for him. I wanted to remove everything that was happening. And then in hindsight, I figured, what can I focus on? I can focus on cuddling more. I can focus on, wow, it's amazing. I have amazing colleagues that are taking over while I'm here. I have amazing family and friends, and I can go on, but in every moment, even in very, very hard moments, I thought, okay, in this room right now, I'm breathing, I'm alive, we're cuddling, it could be worse. I have something to be grateful for. And so that really, in every moment, carried me. Even when I was parking at the hospital at the General beside where the kids' hospital, I thought, isn't it amazing that I have a parking pass that I can just walk over, get some fresh air, find some time for me, and then be there for him. And so in every moment, I was choosing. It's a choice. And like the gym, you can't just go once and say, oh, you're a happy person. I'm not a grateful person. That's hard for me. It's a choice, and I was re-choosing it in every moment, especially in the very hard moments.
That really is remarkable because, let's be honest, you are in healthcare, and one of the curses I say is that you know how bad things can get, and so I'm normally, I mean, we work together at times. Like I must say personally, I'm normally pretty even keel when it comes to patient interactions and stuff. with my own family, I am nowhere near as even keel. I think about the worst case scenario. I'm super vigilant with my littles. And so I think what you're describing is so impressive, because I honestly, being in that, being in the shoes where your kid is requiring a high level of care, I mentally, I mean, just hearing it, my heart is racing. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess my question is, was this natural to you? Were you getting this advice from somebody? Because I mean, full disclosure, I see you in the hospital regularly. There's this smile right here, this glowing smile that brings the sunshine to your day. But did you have to work on this?
Absolutely. So like any discipline, like anything that's important, you get to work on it. And so, yes, I am the same way in a hospital setting, a work setting. And when it comes to your child, you use the word easy. At times it wasn't easy, and I was choosing to see the easy route. And so, yes, I wanted to worry about the worst case scenario. I wanted to worry about all the details because I know exactly what that means and what route we're going down if we go this way or that way. However, I was choosing to, what can I control? I can't control the outcome. I can't control how things are going to roll out. What I can control is my mindset. And so finding, yes, those little things. And so for me, it's meditation, a walk outside, something that brings me joy. And so even if it was 1 minute in my day, before every meeting, setting the intention that the physicians are doing their best, it's nothing personal. If it's not the outcome that I want, this is what it's meant to be, and what can I do better? How can I improve this for someone else? How can I cope in this moment and have the best care for my kid? But it's about also finding that strength inside, but having that extra piece of gratitude or extra piece of whatever fills your cup, essentially, whatever brings you that extra energy to get you through those very, very, very hard moments.
So this is really good. Like, so you're basically, it sounds like, to get to that point for many of us, because I think a lot of us, like, we're going to talk about how to get there and practical tips and so forth, but it sounds like as a way of mentally getting to a state where you can be gracious, where you can be grateful, you're taking care of yourself. Like you mentioned, you're going out for the walk, you're doing some mindful meditation. I mean, maybe you could elaborate on like that point a bit more. Like, was that key to be able to have that mindset, and what worked for you?
100% key. And so let's be honest, human to human. There were moments where it doesn't mean that we're stuffing our emotions. It doesn't mean that we're putting it under the carpet. It doesn't mean that we're not taking care of those. So I want to be clear. But it's recognizing that, yeah, I have those emotions because I'm human, and what can I do about that? And so the practice for me was really, when you have that extra reserve, I'll use the word reserve, that's the best way that I can describe it in this moment.
Yeah.
When you have that reserve, you have that extra energy, that extra ability to take a step back, and in every moment, no matter how difficult it is, put things in perspective and say, okay, there's nothing I can control in this moment right now. Even if I start yelling or shouting or wanting to like micromanage in my anxiety, whatever you're trying to control in that moment, that won't be helpful. And I'm not saying I've never done that. I'm human. But what I recognized was, yeah, I can't change that. And so what can I change? Yeah, it's that reserve, that energy, that, like the gym, it's something you practice, and whatever brings you mindfulness, peace, but that extra, so we have physical health, we have mental health, and we have emotional health. And so that extra piece that gives you the energy to cope with anything that comes your way.
This is incredible. And I'm curious, because we're a big fan of being the change, like expressing the change and wanting to lead by example. So Was it contagious? Were you seeing your family? Was you seeing any of the other people around you embracing it?
100%. We are so magnetic as humans. We are energy, and so whatever energy you bring into a meeting, that's going to be the outcome of a meeting. And so if you bring your contagiousness, if you bring gratitude, guess what? That's what will spread, and that's what will be the outcome of your interaction. And so always being mindful of what interaction, what legacy do you want to leave? What do you want people to remember you by what change do you want to be? What do you want to show your kids? You have kids, I have 3 kids. How do we change the world one person at a time, one heart at a time, and go from that space?
Oh, amazing. So I'm really curious. I mean, you have 3 boys, I have 3 boys. Did they embrace it? Like, like within your own tight circle, have you noticed a change in them?
100%. So my 15-year-old had a science tutor last week, and he said, "Oh, Mom, like I'm so annoyed. Why'd I have to go to science tutor?" And I said, "Isn't it amazing that you are open to it and you have access to it, and that we can pay for it?" And immediately he shifted. He's like, "Okay, Mom." I said, "Every incredible person has a coach. He's in hockey. You have to work hard. If you want to get better, it's not about seeing what's wrong with you. It's about knowing what you get to work on." And he immediately shifted. Like those little things, I have a tutor.
Oh man, I don't have notes taking abilities right now, but I am taking notes because my boys need to hear about this. But listen, we will be right back on Solving Healthcare with Dr. K with our special guest, Angele Lamothe, and you guys are going to love it. This has been amazing so far. Welcome back to Solving Healthcare with Dr. K. We have the one and only Angele Lamothe talking about gratitude, and we've heard so far some practical ways of being more gracious and the impact that's having. I'm wondering, from your perspective, we're both in healthcare, we both see the impacts that mindset could have, but I want to get your perspective on having gratitude as a patient or on the family side. What do you think the impact can be in terms of outcomes when it comes to our patients and families?
I strongly believe and have witnessed over the years, but also mostly have solidified that thought in the last 3 years, being in that place myself. Gratitude really, really, really is a key and changes the outcome of your care. Yes, it doesn't change how amazing Dr. K is in his care. It doesn't change how the amazing nurses and staff respond to your loved one, but it really does impact your mindset. And we all know that depression and health habits and mindfulness are all part of health in a larger health bubble. And so it really has an impact on how they choose to see and how they adhere to their treatment and how they show up to their appointments and their family, and again deciding to change their habits, their lifestyle, and hey, I want to spend more time with my family for the time that I have left in those terminal patients, or I want to get my business like my will completed. I want to do this and this and travel. And so those are conversations that really impact and change a family, a person. No one says, that guy had an amazing car in his obituary. No one will say that. This person was human, amazing, positive, grateful, loving, whatever that person is emitting in their life. And so
I couldn't agree more. And I always, and I've never put much thought about this until we started talking about, do we think we can instill that in our patients or in their families? Like, can we talk about or educate and say, like, this kind of mindset can be transformative when it comes to your own health? Like, can we do that, and do you think it would be well received?
It is part of my bigger vision. And so I believe absolutely that it can definitely change the outcome. And yeah, it would be like anything, implementing it, change is hard for everyone. And so coming at it from, from a health and how they can benefit from it, and simple steps that they can put in practice. I have so many patients who want to see me because they're anxious or nervous, and in the end we end up talking about certain strategies, and I think, okay, we're here for swallowing, or we're here for a trach, and it really makes a huge impact on how they receive the information. And so we're not doing direct, but indirectly, I think it can definitely transform how we view healthcare, how we see it, apply it, and how they do down the road.
I love it, because I think I always appreciate, like, when it comes to interventions and strategies, like, what gives you the biggest bang for your buck? Like, little effort, big reward, 80-20. And to me, this is one of them. I mean, I can't reinforce this enough, folks. Like, when you come into the intensive care unit or anywhere in the hospital, and you have a more of a positive mindset. Not always necessarily, I see, maybe not as much on the grateful side, but just like, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna. Those patients always do better, in my perspective.
100%.
When they're tired and they need to get up to start moving, they're doing it. When they want to work with that physio, where they work with the speech language pathologist, the dietitian, they're more engaged and more likely to progress. So I really think this is something that we should, like, lean into. But I want to do a little bit of I don't know if role play is maybe it's a little bit much, but if I'm your patient, I'm getting my trach, I have a trach in place, and you're assessing me for swallowing, and I'm a bit on the anxious side. I've been going through a lot, but I saw Angele's TEDx talk, and I'm like, oh, I thought I heard you talking about gratitude. Like, what do you tell me to try and get me more into that mindset?
And so first off, as humans, human to human, patient to patient, mom to kid, people want to feel heard and validated. And so I always start with, I'm sorry, this must be very hard. Like, I can't even pretend to know how you're feeling. So not pretending that you know how they feel, because that can be really irritating or disappointing, or no one's hearing me. And so I always start there. Like, I can't know for sure what you're going through, but I can see that it's really difficult, and I can just imagine how hard that must be. And just that, you see their shoulders almost like relax. And so I often tell them as well that we're a team, we work together, and so there's good days, bad days. And so how you choose to engage can be different from one day, but that I guarantee you that once you choose to engage, things will, and so we'll do it together. And so acknowledging that it can be very hard, but that can also be easy once they decide that they can't change X, Y, Z, but this they can change. They can change how they're feeling, they can change how they choose to see the exercise, and then I usually give a personal example if that's appropriate, or however everyone's different. But really engaging them and reminding them that they're in control, because yes, you're in control of certain things as a physician team, as a team, but there are so many elements that you can control as a patient in your physical environment just in that moment. That will decide and impact how quickly or how well you'll do. It's so simple, but it's so valuable and so powerful.
Yeah, and you really hit a really significant point there. There's a lot of that sense of, or that lack of control for patients. We hear that routinely, like
all the time,
whether it's in ICU or in palliative care, general wards. And so that point, Angele, to kind of reinforce to the patient, there are things that you can control, and how can we engage in that and express that gratitude that when it comes to those things. I'm curious, without necessarily giving details about patients or what have you. Is there a story that comes to mind, or
100%.
Yeah?
Thank you for asking, because I wanted to share that during my TEDx talk, and it's a segment that I forgot, and I thought, well, I'm trusting that I'll be able to express it at some point. I received a phone call one day of a patient's wife thanking me for all of the care over the years on the very same day he passed away. And she was using gratitude as her way of coping and recognizing, like, isn't this amazing that we had access to all these amazing people, and that he did so well and really appreciated every single effort that was put in. And I thought, wow, she's calling me on the very same day, taking the time, but mostly for her to recognize that, yeah, it doesn't take the fact away. Her husband passed away, he's not here anymore, but she was choosing to focus on that because she can control that. She can spread gratitude, she can be grateful, she can recognize that, yeah, this is very, very hard, but I'm grateful that this happened, or sorry, not that that happened, that we had access, and thank you. And that, I will always remember that, because we do get lots of thank yous, but on the very same day, I think it was 2 hours after, and I thought, oh my gosh, she was choosing gratitude as her way of coping.
Wow.
What can she use in that present moment? Doesn't take her husband, the fact that he's gone, it doesn't take anything away, but she could control that in that moment, and immediately it shifted her, and she was feeling great about it.
Wow, that is such a powerful story, Angele. Like, I get a little bit of chills hearing about that, because obviously we deal with a lot of dying patients, but within 2 hours, that tells you
It was significant.
Yeah, they're front of mind. You were one of the first people that they thought about during that whole experience. And I'll say, about a year ago, we lost our mom, and one of the most powerful ways to deal with the grieving was just expressing our gratitude and being thankful for the care that she received. And shout out to the folks at Rocky View on the 9th floor there that just went above and beyond, and being able to write that, being able to write those letters and donate, thanks to our department too, donating to the hospital. It just felt right, and it just, to me, it supported the grieving process. I know obviously there's a lot of complexity to that, but it just felt right.
Beautiful. I love that you brought the word grieving, because grieving is, yes, a loss of a physical person, but it can be so many things. And so gratitude, even when your person is still alive, you can be grieving the loss of an identity, the loss of so many things. And so it's really valuable to be using that as a grieving way, as a way of managing and coping and spreading it as well.
Absolutely. And I really feel that there's an opportunity here that we'll talk about in the next segment, that if we really scale this mindset, if we really bring this to front and center within healthcare, within our youth, especially with the mental health issues that we're seeing right now, I truly feel like this could be momentous. I really feel like we could really change the landscape for a lot of people, and we'll talk about maybe some of the strategies we could do, because not only you're being the example, you're getting the word out with being on the show, doing the TEDx thing, but really we need to really scale this up. So we'll talk about this in the next segment. So we'll be right back on Solving Healthcare with our special guest, Angele Lamothe. Welcome back to Solving Healthcare with Dr. K. We got our special guest, Angele Lamothe, speech language pathologist, gratitude enthusiast, and I'm feeling grateful right now that you're on the show and we're getting to talk about these things. And I'm feeling very inspired, actually, Angele, because as we talked about beforehand, I think talking about gratitude mindset, we really can move the needle when it comes to people's health and wellness. So I want to leave maybe a bit of an open-ended question. What would you do to try and reinforce this in our youth? As we talked about a little bit earlier, our kids' mental health, I'm personally worried, especially after the last few years. We know, like with the cell phones, with the social pressures, their mental health has been compromised. And so I'm hearing your story with one of your children too. I really feel like this is a promising way that we can approach our kids. So I don't know if you've had much insights or thoughts in terms of how we could approach it with our youth.
I think that with our youth, we get to find a strategy we have to.
Yeah, we do it. Yeah, let's do this.
Do your homework. Finding a way that inspires them, that drives them, that is motivating for them, and as you know, not too long. And so implementing that as part of the curriculum, as part of in sports, at school, whatever. They go to school. They most of them do sports or other activities. And so, how do we have even a 2-minute of mindset segment at the beginning to be grateful, to breathe, to notice that, wow, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm breathing. This is a privilege, because it is really hard for them to put that in perspective when there is so much pressure, when they're not doing great necessarily at times. And that's the last thing they want to be doing. And so I'm not sure that I have specific strategies, because we get to come up with those together. I have some for adults, but for our teens, really, I guess implementing that within every day at home. It always starts at home, but also everywhere, everywhere they go, school, activities.
I mean, I like it. I honestly, I think because a gratitude practice, and we'll talk about the adults in a second, but in my opinion, a gratitude practice, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes. It could be 3 minutes, not even. Like you really, have a focus on your breath and think about 1 or 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for. And I don't know, I think, like I saw a little change in my boys. We went to Ghana for the summer, and we saw a lot of poverty. We saw a lot of people, a lot of kids in compromising situations. And there was a pivot there for a bit with my boys, where they were grateful for that ability to travel, to be able to eat, to be able to do their activities. But, as you get further away from it, there's less of that mindset. But I guess what I'm getting at is to incorporate it, though, whether it is at school at the beginning of the day, whether it's at dinner, whether it's as your sports team. We have kids in competitive sports, to do that before they jump on the ice or after they jump on the ice. I actually think this could be, it's very doable.
It's very doable.
Yeah.
When you're stretching, when you're just preparing, warming up, anything you do, it's very, very doable. Yeah, but it's not part of the practice necessarily.
Absolutely. And just for the sports enthusiasts, y'all know you're more likely to be into flow, and you're better when you're loose, boys and girls. So like, I really think this is something that to really think about. Yeah. So adults then, like we talk about strategies that we could really incorporate this. What are your thoughts there?
And so, of course, when I think of adults, I think of healthcare, hospital. That's where I work at the moment. I also coach, but one thing that's really always comes to mind, I thought, those little TVs that everyone has, imagine if you had mindfulness stations, 2-minute breathing segments, 3-minute guided meditation. The anxiety that those patients experience is skyrocket, as you know, when you are going through a difficult moment. And so having that as part of their care, as part of their vitals, as part of walking with physio, just having that as part of as an option, This is your pill for today,
Yeah.
one of them. But also in really awareness, and that's why we're here. I love all of the chronic illnesses that you talk about, and those, a lot of, yes, prevented and by mindset and lifestyle. And mindset is a lifestyle. It
Yeah.
is part of your lifestyle. It is part of that whole health continuum that really impact that extra layer that we tend to not think about, because there is so much else to think about: physical health and nutrition and working out and etc. And so that little piece really often gets, unnoticed, or I don't have time at the end of the day. And so, there are so many simple ways to implement that in our adults, you and I, but also in our patients.
Yeah, I must say, just two thoughts. Like, one, I want to express some gratitude right now. Ever since seeing your TED Talk, I've actually started to implement that at the end of the day, like always writing down now 3 things that I'm grateful for throughout
Beautiful.
the day. And what's wonderful about that is sometimes it's things that you forget. Like, it's not front of mind. Like,
Yep.
I'm trying to think of recently. I was working in the ICU, and it looked like I wasn't going to get a chance to get to my youngest Christmas party, little Zeke, or his Christmas concert, sorry, not his Christmas party, and got to peel out of there, got there right on time, and I mean, I won't lie, they're awful. But like the joy in his eyes when he saw Dad and Mom be able to, encourage him while he's singing his song, like, it was such a busy day that it wasn't front of mind, but you force yourself to think about some of the
Yes.
processes during the day, and instantaneously you got a smile on your face. You're that much more relaxed going to bed, and I was just grateful at that time that we went through that exercise. So, number one, I want to express my gratitude there. And I totally forgot what my second point was, but maybe we could hear some of from on a personal level, if it's not too
No secrets
much.
here.
No secrets here. What that looks like for you on a day to day. Like, obviously, when it was dealing with your son, you're finding slots in the day to express that gratitude. But on the day to day now, how does that look for Angele?
Before I come back to that, I love that you brought up, we're so busy. It's so busy during the day that it's something that goes unnoticed. It's so simple as a concept, yet it's so hard at times to actually go through with it. And so thank you for being honest and human. And so what that looks like for me, again, it's a practice, right? No one wakes up being grateful without practicing it. And so reminding yourself that you don't go do one set of biceps and expect to have giant biceps. You have to work at it. And so, like anything else, if it becomes part of your practice, becomes part of your routine. And so I have a morning practice that I do not shy away from. Even when I travel, it's shorter at times when I travel, but it's non-negotiable. My kids know, everyone knows. And so part of that is the gratitude. Part of that is meditation. There's a few things, but making it part of your practice. And so in the morning and at night, you're more likely to keep going with that, or to be consistent with your practice. But consistency is key, as you know, and then just practicing, recognizing how important it is for you.
And do you recommend, like, once again, just, I feel like we could lean on your experience. Do you find it any more value to write it down, or just to be in the moment and meditate on it? Like, what do you?
I think it's valuable in all ways. Whatever. I think the key is really finding what works for you, because what works for you, working out in the morning, it doesn't work for everyone. Some people don't like that, and so it's knowing that what works, knowing to recognize, I tried that and it doesn't work for me. So whether you're writing, you're going for a walk outside, and you're intentionally being grateful for just the physical things that you're seeing. Driving is easy because we all drive, so it can be a guided meditation. It can be just noticing, I'm grateful for my car, I'm grateful for my gas, you know, when you're stuck in traffic, oh, wow, like I have a car and I have gas and it's warm in here and I have my coffee and I can listen to, it's amazing how you can shift so easily. But to answer your question, anything, as long as you're consistent with it and you know that that works for you, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be hours, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, just noticing, but then practicing that during the day. So at any time, whether you're, you know, before your lunch, like, wow, isn't it amazing? I'm sitting down here having my lunch. Whatever you want to be grateful for in that moment. And I want to point out that gratitude can also be, how can you be grateful your mom passed away? Like, how is that? How can I be grateful for that? But I love how you shifted into the time that you had together, the team that was amazing. So even in those really awful moments, there's always room for gratitude and for growth. And it's amazing that you can notice and want to grow from, yeah, my boss is not very nice. How can I be grateful for him? It's the contrast. It's knowing what you want next, where you want to go, and how can you shift it. Your boss, it's nothing personal. That's his stuff. You have your own stuff that you get to control and be mindful of and practice. So
no, this is amazing, Angele. Like that reframe, and as you mentioned, when it came to dealing with death and dying, because we've seen so many patients go in a negative way their experience. So like having an experience that we could say was peaceful, I'm eternally grateful for. So we got to jump on a break here. We'll be right back after a few minutes, joined with Angele Lamothe on Solving Healthcare with Dr. K. We are back on Solving Healthcare with Dr. K, featuring the amazing Angele Lamothe, all things gratitude. And I got to say, one thing I wanted to mention before we hit the break is this change in mindset for folks, or like having that more positive mindset. Like we do a lot on our platform. We're talking about how people can get healthy and take charge of their life. And if you have that gratitude around, hey, I'm in a situation where I can do this, even though you might be up against obstacles, you might be up against those times where you're not meeting your goals right away, but having that approach with that gratitude in mind, I think the more we were hearing you talk, I'm like, this is maybe a really important thing to lean into, because when it comes to transforming your life, whether you're trying to lose weight, put on muscle, whatever it might be, reverse your diabetes, that battle is a long one. And so you want to be able to have an approach where you can lean into some positivity. So I just wanted, it was just front of mind for me, just how valuable I think this could be for a lot of folks that are trying to reset their life. Yeah.
Thank you. Absolutely. Because we think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. And it's those little steps and celebrating in those little moments along the way. Even if you don't have tangible results yet, you're on the way there and you're making a change. Change is hard.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier to not go there. And so recognizing that, yeah, I'm a shapeshifter. I'm a pioneer of my health. Yes, this won't be hard, or this won't be easy at times, but I have these people around me and I can decide what I want to focus on or how I want to do it. Because you're still going to do it. And so how do you want to do it? Do you want it to be super extra painful, or with a little bit of gratitude where, okay, this is not so bad. All right, I think I can handle this.
Amazing. You might hear a little bit more of that lens when it comes to our content online. Speaking of online, like, let us know all that is Angele right now. So we had a TEDx talk. You've been doing some authorship. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about all the things that you're involved in currently.
Yeah, and so amazing how we look at challenges and opportunities, right? So being off of working at the hospital, taking a leave when my son was in hospital, and doing more coaching, I thought, wow, like, isn't it amazing how it puts things in perspective? And now I'm back part-time at the hospital, and I'm coaching. I love my job at the hospital, and we coach all the time our patients. And so putting that in perspective, doing more coaching, and yeah, I have a website. I co-authored 4 books, and my intention is really to write my own solo book, because it was a co-production, co-authorship, exactly on steps to, we're not pretending life is easy, we're not pretending that we never have challenges, we're not pretending that everything's perfect. We really are empowering people to take that in take charge of that, because you really can focus on those strategies and have extraordinary results no matter what you are going through.
And what's the title of the books?
So there's 4. Likability factor. It's based on the work of Dale Carnegie, and so we're several authors, and we offer our perspective on win-win. So win-win theory. What does that mean for you? What does that mean in a lifetime? And so different, a little bit like chicken soup for the soul, but for motivation. So motivational speaking. So just offering different perspectives on. And so when I think about one of them, that win-win, where that magnetism of gratitude, where you show up feeling this way, it's contagious, it's an energy, it's physics, you know that. People, it's a win-win for everyone. So there's no point in, I'm not again saying that you can never be angry. Like, you have to manage those emotions, in a healthy way. But how you show up at work, how you show up with for your family, for your kids, for everyone in your life, for yourself first, that's the energy that you're putting out there in the world. And so, for example, that win-win chapter was exactly on that, how you have the power. No one has power over you. Your boss, someone who is mean to you. You have the power to decide, hey, I'm going to take a different approach, or whatever you choose, you always have that power, and that's how powerful we are. But we forget that sometimes. We put that power outside on someone else. So even within healthcare, you have that power, that mindset, you have that energy to take that control. So that's part of gaining that control back as a patient, that we know is part of the huge loss that the grieving that they go through, that loss of power, that loss of control over everything in their lives. So that's an amazing way to get that control back.
Wow. So it sounds like you've been really you've been busy and and really putting some transformative content out there. So you got the books, you got the coaching, and typically, what's your typical client for coaching? Like, who you would like to see? So
I'm a triathlete, so the high achievers. So I do like working with everyone, but the people that I usually attract are high achievers who are like doing amazingly in their life, but they find that they're perfectionists, or they are not quite, getting they don't have the relationships with their wife that they want, or their kids, or so how do you get a 10 on 10 with everything that you do in your life? Because often, it's going super well at work, but at home maybe not so much, or with your personal or your health, or there's usually a category there that, I won't use the word suffers, but that you put aside. And so how do you get a 10 on 10 and live an extraordinary life everywhere? And so usually I attract those types of clients because they are, hungry. We were talking about the tutor earlier. The ones who, the extraordinary people in our society, in our world, are the ones that seek out coaching, are open to change, are open to, what can I do to not control from an anxiety perspective, but what can I do to empower myself but others? How can I be the change that I want to see, essentially?
Wow.
How do I lead that?
Wow. That's, you might be seeing me ringing Angel's phone real quick.
I'll give you some good rates.
For finding that balance. No, I think a lot of us, especially in the healthcare space, could use a lot of that advice, right? Like how we find that balance in terms of meeting the needs of our family, our health needs, professional needs. So I think, I would imagine you would be in high demand. Yeah,
and I think it'll surprise you, the answer I'm going to give you, because we are trained to give everything to everyone else, but that 5 minutes to yourself, or that 10 minutes, or that workout, or that meditation, or whatever really fills you, is where you get to go, and that's non-negotiable. And that, starting with yourself, is I can only speak from a mother, from a perspective, but in a paradigm, patriarchal, high achieving society where people are, we're, I'll say, selfish at times because we think of ourselves, but not from that unified helping others. So being generous, helping others, but that starts from within, and really from understanding that, okay, I can change others by, it's not a competitive in that if I have something, then that means the other person can't have it. Everyone can have that amazing life. But it starts from within, and recognizing that, there's enough to go around.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, we did a lot of wellness content during the pandemic, and that was one of the main principles.
Huge.
Was take care of yourself, like to be able for you to represent and take care of such sick people, especially at the time where in the heights of the pandemic, where felt like there was a lot at stake, more than normal. Yeah, you got to be able to put on your own oxygen mask, and 100%. I think a lot of people benefited from hearing that advice.
And that's how this all started, because I was thriving and working, trying to do online work for my kids while being in hospital. I wasn't an exception, everyone, and I thought, what am I doing different? I'm not special, it's a choice. And so recognizing that was really important to me, and then how do I teach that, and how do I share that, and how do I, empower others to have that advantage on their own, on their life.
And Angele, we only have a few minutes, but I wonder, what's the vision for that next book? Like, ideally, where do you want to go with your next project?
Yeah, so I was thinking, people want practical tools. So giving a story and example. So I've had a lot of personal experiences over the last 3 years, having my kid in hospital. But real life examples, like this is what happens to all of us. We're not an exception. And so how do you shift that perspective, and then how do you, so having practical exercises that you can, but also I recognize that sometimes you don't want the physical book, you don't have time to do the exercises, so also having the audio option. But really problem solving, but having a written part where exercises where you can reflect and then also make a change. Incredible. in your life.
Incredible. I cannot wait to see the end result of this, because I think what you've built so far, your message, your reach now, it's just going to be powerful, and it's just a real privilege that we get to be even a little piece of that as we see you ascend. It's been wonderful. So where do people track you down, Angele? Where do we learn more about you? What's your website, etc.?
Yeah, so I have a website, Angele Lamothe Coaching, and then on that you have the link to my TEDx talk, you have the link to my mailing list, the 4 books that you can buy on Amazon. And then I also want to put content on there, my new book, but also courses that are self-directed, so that people are busy, can do their own,
Amazing. So, Angele, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Listen, folks, I'm hoping at the end of all this that you appreciate the need to be more grateful and the power that it has, not only from a patient care, but from a family perspective, from a mental health perspective, from a physical health perspective. I really think this is something that we could all leverage to live a healthier and more wonderful life. So thanks for joining us on Solving Healthcare with Dr. K, and we'll see you again next week.